Hi guys, this is Lauren with Lauren Watkins Art, and today I've got a beginner-friendly soft pastel demo for you. We are going to be doing a beach scene, and the supplies I'm going to be using are some soft pastel pencils. If you don't have pastel pencils, don't worry, they are not a requirement, but these are just the Color pastel pencils I bought off of Amazon, and the Paul Ruben's 48 set of soft pastels. Here is the reference photo we are going to be working off of. This is one that my stepmother took while visiting Oregon this past autumn, and I thought it was a really beautiful scene, but also not too complicated, so a great beginner piece. I'm going to keep the picture up in the right-hand corner just so you can use it as a guide as we go along. The paper I'm working on is Uart sanded paper. This is a artist grade sandpaper. It's 400 grit, and I like it because it can handle a lot of layers and can do liquid or wet underpaintings. And I am going to be doing a wet underpainting using rubbing alcohol for this piece. If you're using a paper that can't handle wet blending techniques, then I would recommend using a sponge or some kind of blending tool to really softly blend those early layers of pastel out, and then the rest of it will just continue on the same. I started off by drawing a horizon line and marking in where the beach meets the ocean. I used a light brown pencil for that. I would recommend grabbing a ruler so that you can get a nice straight horizon line or some kind of straight edge. I didn't, so I'm going to have to correct that as I paint to make it nice and straight. Then I started going in with my blue pastels, and I am blocking in the general shapes of the blue in the sky that I see. And I am just layering up different blues that I have available to me. Since I am only pulling from the Color pastel pencil set and the Paul Ruben's pastels, I am limited in what colors I have, so I'm going to do a lot of layering and a lot of blending as I go along. I did debate whether I should add orange to this first layer or not, because orange and blue are opposite colors, and so I had to be really careful with how I layered them so it didn't get too brown and mucky in the sky. So I decided to move on to the water, and I started blocking in different areas, and I'm looking at my reference photo and I'm looking at the line of the shadow of each wave kind of curling in, and I used a dark brown to block that in. I went in with some light blues and like a dark blue-green color along the horizon line, and then I jumped up into the sky, added some more blues and some grays to that area. And then I jumped back down and I'm working on more of the water. I'm bouncing back and forth between the sky and the water because the water is reflecting what is in the sky. And so I'm trying to add the same colors in the sky and in the water so that they feel harmonious and look like they belong together. Then I took an old golden Taklon paintbrush and I am blending out those pastel layers with rubbing alcohol. Now, if you have a paper that can't handle wet blending like this, I would recommend being a little bit more precise where you are putting your pastel pencil. Use a little bit more of a circular motion when you're applying it, just so it's a little bit easier to blend out with a dry blending method. But I'm just going in with that rubbing alcohol and I am just blending it out. Now, part of the reason why I love using rubbing alcohol for this early blending technique is it breaks down that pigment, allows it to flow all over the paper, but it lets it sink into the tooth of the paper and really adhere to it so that I can do layers later on and I don't have to worry about the tooth of my paper getting filled in too quickly. So it tones my paper, it preserves the tooth of the paper for more layers as I go along, and it dries really quickly. And I really like all three of those aspects. If you don't like the smell of rubbing alcohol, you can blend this out with water. It's just going to take longer to dry and a little bit more blending on your part to get it to spread out. Now, the nice thing with rubbing alcohol blending is that you can do it multiple times. You're not stuck with just doing it once. And so what I did was I did my initial underpainting with mostly blues, and then I let that dry completely after I blended it out. And now I'm going in with my yellows and my oranges. The reason why I did it in separate layers like this is to prevent the blue and the orange from blending too much, because The orange and the blue are opposite colors, and if they mix together, it can kind of turn brown. And then there's a lot of yellow, and if that mixes with the blue, then it can turn green. And I didn't want green in the sky, and I didn't want too much brown in areas that I didn't want it to be in. So I did that initial layer, let it dry, and now I'm going in with my yellows and my oranges and ochre colors, and I'm blocking in those areas of the painting. And if you are using a dry blending technique, just be really careful about where you're applying your yellows and your oranges, and when you go to blend them out, just be careful not to over blend them so that you don't get color mixing where you don't want it to be. Now you might notice that that pencil and the one I'm about to use do not look like the Color pencils. That's because they're not. I had them sitting on my desk from a different project and I didn't think about it, and I just grabbed them and started using them, and then I realized, oh no, these are not the right pencils for this piece. So I had a couple bonus pencils thrown in the mix. But once I added those, I added a little bit of purple to the edges of the horizon line, just to kind of darken them up and add a little bit more of a purple blue tone to it. And then I started blending it out using that rubbing alcohol. And I am just going in like circular motions. I'm using a slightly smaller brush for this section, so I have a little bit more control, and I am just blending it out. Now remember, this doesn't need to be perfect. It's mostly just tinting the paper, and then we'll go in with our Paul Ruben soft pastels and really start building up the layers and building up the depth to this piece. Be sure to let your paper dry completely before you start going in with your soft pastels, or your pastels will kind of stick to the paper too much and you'll fill in the tooth of the paper really quickly and you'll kind of get a gummy mess. So let your paper dry all the way before you get started. Now I'm going in with my blues and I'm starting to block in the sky. Now my goal with my painting isn't to make it an exact recreation of my reference photo. So I am not going to make my clouds exactly the same as what I see in my reference photo. I'm just looking at it for general shapes and color guide. And I'm going to just loosely base my painting off of that. Now, one thing you might notice is that my colors are a lot more vibrant. They are not the same colors that you see in the reference photo. And that's because I'm working with a palette that is a little bit more limited and it doesn't have blues similar to it. Now, I can color mix on the paper, but it fills in the tooth of the paper quickly. And so to me, it wasn't worth trying to recreate that color exactly. So I just tried to get a general impression, tried to get that gradient going on, and then I added a little bit of gray over the top just to kind of tone it down a little bit so it wasn't so very vibrant. Clouds are notoriously difficult to paint, and part of that is the lighting. So have a reference photo and pay attention to where the sun is placed in your picture and how that is affecting the lighting on your clouds, because it can make or break your piece. For this piece, we have a lot of perspective going on in the sky that is helping create depth within our painting. If you've ever learned about one-point perspective, that's basically what's going on with the clouds and the sun. The sun is our focal point, and then how we are lighting our clouds is based off of that one-point perspective. The clouds that are closest to the horizon line are basically sitting in front of the sun, so those are going to be backlit, and so you're going to treat those slightly different than the clouds that are up towards the top of the paper. And really look at where those shadows are and where those highlights are. So your clouds can be slightly different shaped, and that's okay. Just really pay attention to where the general highlights are hitting so that you can translate it to your own painting. Something else to keep in mind is the values, not the moral values of our painting, but the color values. So how light or dark the color is. So our brightest highlight within this piece is that sun. It is this ball of white light within the piece. And so that is where I'm going to put my white highlight and then a couple little dashes of it in its reflections in the water. Everything else needs to be adjusted accordingly. So the highlights on my clouds, I'm not using any of that pure white. I'm using this kind of peach color that was in the set, and that is my brightest highlight on the clouds. And then I've made different areas of the sky a little bit darker to help those stand out a little bit more. And I'm just kind of tweaking and adjusting. This is also part of the reason why it's so important not to press too hard too quickly, and why we often start with our harder pastels first and gradually work softer and softer. Now I'm starting to blend out some of those clouds. Now there are a lot of different types of blending tools on the market. Some of them are sponges, some of them are paper stumps. They all have their strengths and their weaknesses. This tool I'm using is called a clay shaper, and it's basically a paintbrush with a little piece of silicone at the end. They come in different shapes and sizes, and I really like this because it presses the pigment into the paper, so it doesn't lift the pigment off, and it helps prevent you from over blending. You won't get a really soft blend using this type of tool. So if you want to get a really soft blend, you need to use some pipe insulation foam, a sponge, paper stump, something like that. But if you did a mark and you want to just kind of soften it up just a little bit, but you don't want to lose all that detail, this is the perfect tool for it. Once I got that blending done, then I started going in on the water. I was fairly happy with where the sky was at, so it was time to shift down and work on the water. And I'm just layering up different blues for this. And I straightened out my horizon and kind of cleaned up that edge a little bit more. And I'm just, again, mirroring the colors that I see in the sky onto the water and looking at my reference photo for guides on where the shadows and the highlights should be. And I'm also keeping my markings very horizontal left to right for the water, because this water is fairly calm. It's not wavy, there's not choppy water. If I started going up and down, this water would read as being very choppy. And like lots of waves were coming in, it's more stormy. And this, we want it to feel very peaceful and calm. So I'm keeping my markings very horizontal, left to right, right to left, that kind of thing, so that it mirrors that same kind of feel. Now I'm going in with my white and I'm kind of blocking in where that highlight on the water will sit. And you'll notice that I didn't put very much blue in those sections. And that's because I knew I was going to need to add a little bit of orange. And again, I don't want to risk these pigments mixing. If it was acrylic paint and each layer dried completely in between each layer, I wouldn't have to worry about it as much. But the problem with pastels is that the pigments are loose, and what happens is when you layer them up, if you do a layer over the top, sometimes that pigment will mix and you'll get colors mixing on your paper. And that's something I love about pastels, but if you don't want your colors to mix, you need to be really careful about where you're applying them so that they don't overlap too much. To help the sun stand out a little bit more, I need to adjust some of the colors around it so that they're a little bit darker in value. And I'm going to keep mostly in the kind of warm yellow, orange kind of family so that it really feels warm and welcoming, like the sun is warming up that area of the sky. So I'm using those warm yellows and oranges to really darken up the value around the sun so that that white highlight really stands out. And by creating that gradient, you can just almost feel those rays of light just radiating off of the sun. Now I'm going in and working on this water a little bit more. And sometimes you'll find that you kind of lose shadow areas or details that you've added and you need to go and reinforce them. So I kind of lost some of my shadow sections that I'd added to the water. So I'm just going in and darkening those up. I'm also adding this like lavender and gray to the sides where it looks like the water has that like white foam on it. So I added some grays to that area. And then for the beach, this sand is wet. It is not like a dry, beachy sand. It is a very wet sand, so I want it to feel almost reflective. Because of that, I added colors that I saw in the sky and in the water onto that beach, but I also mixed it with kind of like a raw umber color so that it would feel like wet sand that is shimmering from the water within it. When I was applying the pastel to the sandy beach, I kept my markings kind of at a slight angle. For the water, I was very horizontal, kind of left to right in my markings, but I wanted that beach to be slightly differentiated from the water. And so I came in at it at a slight angle, and that just really helped reinforce that feeling of sand being there, and it's a different surface than what the water was doing. And I kept that in mind when I was blending it out using the rubber shaper, because I wanted to reinforce those directional markings, not undo all of my work. Now we are on the home stretch of the painting where we're looking at the reference photo, looking at the picture from a distance, kind of seeing what needs to be tweaked and adjusted. And I knew I needed to add a few more details, especially along the beach, so that it looks like it's a little bit more reflective than what it is. And so I'm going in with not my pure white, but kind of that pale peach color. And I'm just doing little dabs to imply those like kind of bubbles and reflections that we're getting on the sand. I'm also using a pale yellow for this. And then I'm adding a little bit of yellow next to our highlight in the center of the water. To help that highlight stand out a little bit more, I needed to darken up the edges of the painting. That would help draw your eye towards the center highlight. So I added some dark gray to that area, and then I am blending it out using that rubber shaper. Now you might be looking at this and be like, whoa, you just made this a lot worse. I just needed to darken up those areas a little bit, and then I am softening up those dark marks by taking some of that blue and that lavender that I'd had in the water and just going over it slightly. I kept a lot of that dark peeking through, but by adding that little bit of lavender on top of it, it just kind of softened up those markings. Now I'm going to go in with a dark reddish brown, and I'm adding that to the beach because I need to darken up some of the values on the sand so that there's a little bit more of that contrast, just like what we were doing with the water before. So I added some of that and then I blended it out. Again, I'm not trying to be too precise with this piece. I'm not trying to make an exact recreation of the reference photo. I'm just trying to imply a beach sunset of some kind. I'm taking this dark blue and I'm just adding some more shadows along the water where the waves are starting to kind of roll in, just to get a little bit more of that dimension again. When you get towards the end of a painting, you might find yourself kind of jumping around and tweaking and adjusting. And that is okay. That is 100% natural. It's just dancing along the page and, changing things as necessary. And for me, I needed to tweak and adjust around the sun just a little bit more, get certain areas a little bit darker in value, add a little bit of a highlight in certain areas with like this pale yellow, and just kind of doing that little dance of tweaking and adjusting to get it just right and to a place that I'd be really, really happy with. One of the things I felt like I needed to tweak a little bit more was the cloud that goes in front of the sun. That cloud has a little bit more of an orange undertone to it, and you can't really see the center of it where it crosses the center of the sun because it's so bright that you can't see that part. But the rest of it's kind of tinted like a dark orange. So I reinforced that a little bit and then just kind of softened up some of the edges of the other markings that I had done on the piece. And at this point, you really need to be looking at what your individual painting needs because yours is going to look a little different than mine. And you're going to need to see what tweaks and adjustments your individual piece needs. Do you need to darken up some areas to help a highlight stand out? Do you need to blend a section a little bit more than what you have? You need to really look and see what your painting needs. Sometimes taking a black and white photo can help you see value range and see what things need to be adjusted. Looking at your picture from a distance can also help you kind of see what things are blending together, what you need to add a little bit more contrast to, that kind of thing. And after looking at my painting, I was really pleased with how it turned out, so I decided to sign it. I really liked how impressionistic and painterly this piece feels. I have been working on not blending too much and being a little bit more loose, not getting bogged down on the details. And by working on a smaller piece of paper with a traditional soft pastel for the majority of this painting, I couldn't get the teeny tiny details in, so it let me be more painterly, and I'm really happy with how this piece turned out. If you guys want to see more of what I create on this channel, please be sure to hit the subscribe button. If you have any questions, leave them down below, and I hope to see you guys next time. Bye!